What's up, truckers? Tricky Mick here. Hope you're doing well. Hope you've got the shiny side up, as I like to say. Now, if you're new to the channel, I'll give you a quick little tidbit here. I am a lease purchase driver here at Wheeler Trucking with a new 2024 Cascadia. So every month, twice, I go over my weekly settlements to kind of show what people can earn at lease purchases and show if it's really worth your time or not. Now, the only thing that I would change, as I've mentioned before, is I'd like to cash outright buy a truck, save up maybe $60,000 so I don't have these weekly payments for the truck. Aside from that, I'm very happy where I'm at and what I do, and I feel like I'm compensated very well for hauling F-750s and large transit vans, things like that your average car hauler can't really put on there. Now, so for the year so far, I'm at about $130,000. It'd be a little bit higher, but it's been a slow year, and I didn't start the lease purchase until March. So let's get right into it and see what we got this week. Alright, so as many of you know, I get paid a flat rate of $2.24 per mile, all miles, and you get a fuel surcharge, things like that. So for the first week of this month, 10/3, I ran 3,200 miles. The truck pay was $53.04, driver pay $18.63. Now after fuel and expenses, that brought me to $33.49 to the truck and $18.63 for my W-2 check, which brings the total to $5,213, or $1.62 per mile profit for the week. Not a bad week at all. Now, this was a crazy week where I was just, bustling back and forth between the proving grounds and Raceway Park here, doing a couple of short loads and hammered down real hard to get out to Corsicana, Texas, back to Kansas City, and then back to Cleveland, Ohio. So this was a really good week. I should have done a little bit better on fuel mileage, but because I sat a couple of days, I really had to put the hammer down to be able to get where I wanted. And I'll show you down right here where my fuel cost was $12.80. Normally, I wouldn't be anywhere close to that for these kind of miles, but again, I put the pedal to the metal and I did not lift up for the entire week. So a pretty good week there, $1.62 per mile, $52.13 total between pay to the truck and my driver pay. So very, very happy with that week. Now, the next week, 10/10 payment over here, I only ran about 1,990 miles. Now, I would have ran a few more miles, but I couldn't get the load off in time to be on this check. So it'll be on the week after, and that week will be even better than normal. So I'm pretty excited for that one. But anyways, so for that particular week, driver pay was $11.58, and after all the truck payments, lease purchase insurance, escrow, fuel, things like that, brought me to $15.50 final pay to the truck. So with both checks, that was about $27.0968, which brings us to about $1.36 per mile for 1,990 miles. Not too bad if you ask me. I've seen a lot of owners who have paid off trucks that are struggling to make that kind of money. So being in a lease purchase, I think that's pretty damn good if you ask me. Now, there's a few things, like I said before, that I don't really like about this lease purchase program. Having it stretched out over 7 years makes it really difficult to get the truck actually paid off. And by the time you do pay the truck off, you're going to have a truck with 900,000 miles. It's going to need a rebuild probably 2 or 3 years after it's paid off, maybe sooner than that, depending on a few things that are really out of your control. There's nothing you can really do about build quality and things, not being 100%. What if the truck was built on a Friday, everyone wanted to go home early, versus built on a Monday? And if you've been around vehicles your entire life, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Anyway, so another thing that I don't really like about the program is if you walk away from it, this entire maintenance fund disappears. Now, you have to build up a $30,000 maintenance fund, and that takes about 2 years to get fully funded, maybe a little bit more. Then that $450 a week stops coming out for the maintenance fund unless you need maintenance, obviously. And again, so like the truck payment, $768 over 7 years, you end up paying almost $300,000 for a $170,000 truck. Not exactly the most efficient or affordable way to get it done, but this does get you to the next step of saving that cash so you can buy a truck cash instead of financing out over 5 or 7 years. And, you know, financing is getting harder and harder as trucks get more expensive. You know, we're kind of in a bad economic climate to try and finance a truck in the first place. So most people are going to be end up at, you know, maybe 12 to 18%. And that's a really bad situation when your truck payment is high and, you know, your expenses are high. You could end up losing that truck entirely, and you pretty much wasted your time, which is why I'm trying to save the cash to, you know, buy something like what I have now with maybe 200,000 miles, you know, for about $65,000, $70,000. The only other thing I really don't like about the program is the requirements for the oil changes. We have to change the oil every other month. And when it comes to the manufacturer specs, I'm not going to let a truck go 80,000 miles in between oil changes. But, you know, if you have a slow month, there's no reason to be changing oil when it's only got 15,000 miles on it. You know, and that's just my own personal opinion and experience, you know, from, you know, talking to people that I know who own these trucks, looking at the new oils that they make. There's no reason to be changing oil that often, you know, if you know that your truck isn't being beaten to death, you know, at high RPMs, idle all the time, things like that. So that's what we got for this week. Almost $8,000. Well, $79.13 between the 2 weeks. So again, I'm very happy with the program where I'm at. I've made about $130,000 profit this year so far. So what do you think? Would you lease purchase a truck? Let me know in the comments below if there's anything you disagree with or maybe something you want to point out. And keep the shiny side up.